Hello and welcome to Math Lessons with Linda. Today's topic is adding and subtracting polynomials. The important thing to remember if you are adding or subtracting monomials or binomials is that you are always looking for them to have like terms. Like terms means that you have the same variable and it has to have the same exponent to be a like term. So for example, if I had a 3x and then I had a 9x, these are like terms because I have an x for each variable and the exponent for those is the same. I would say these are like terms. If I had a 3x and a 9x squared, these are not like terms because the variables do not match up exactly because the exponents are different, okay? So like terms over here, unlike or not like terms over here. Let's take a look at an example and practice through one. So I'm going to take the binomial 4x plus 6, and I'm going to add that to the other binomial 6x minus 1. Now, since I have addition in between my two binomials, I don't have to worry about this sign. I only need to pay attention to the signs of what's inside my parentheses. So the first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to pull out the terms that are the like terms for the variable. So I've got a 4x, but then I also have a positive 6x here. They're both plus. There's no negative sign in front. So I'm going to take these out and I'm going to combine these together by adding together the coefficient. So the 4 and the 6, that adds up to 10x. Okay, so I have like terms here. These are just integer values. I'm going to pull these out. I have a 6, but then I have a minus 1. So when I combine 6 minus 1, I'm subtracting these and I get a positive 5. So over here with my 10x, I'm going to add on the 5 that I had. And I have added together these two binomials, and I got 10x plus 5. Let's try another one that has slightly different types of polynomials. So 5w squared plus 2w minus 3. Then I'm going to subtract a binomial 4w plus 8. Now, the difference between these two polynomials, this minus sign, there's no number really showing with it, but there is a hidden 1. Because if I pretend there is a 1 here, it's like a negative 1. And now what I can do to make my problem a little easier, I'd rather be adding together instead of subtracting. So I'm going to quick do a little distribution here. I'm going to keep this the same. I'm going to drop my parentheses because with the other polynomial here, after I distribute, I'm going to drop my parentheses also. So everything here just stays the same for this step. But over here, I have a negative 1 times a 4w. So remember, it's going to be negative 4 and then w. That's the first one. Now I distribute here this negative 1 times 8, and I'm going to get a minus 8. So now that I've taken care of this negative, this subtraction, right, by distributing it through, now I'm just going to look for some like terms to combine together. So let's start with the biggest exponent term first, which is my 5w squared. It doesn't have another w squared term to add or subtract, so it stays by itself. And I'm just going to cross through it once I'm done. Then I'm going to look for any w terms. So we can like circle. I've got a plus 2w and a minus 4w. So I do 2 minus 4. So I get a negative 2 and I keep my w the same. So I've combined these two like terms. So I'm going to cross those off now. And lastly, I have a negative 3 and a negative 8. So negative 3 plus a negative 8, that's another negative, and it's a negative 11. So I cross those off and I've used all of my terms. So when I added these two together, I got 5w squared minus 2w and then minus 11. Okay, let's try one more. So this time I'm going to have 3y squared minus 5y plus 6 plus a 7y squared minus 9y minus 6. Now, I have two trinomials, but I have an addition sign, which makes this much easier. I don't need to distribute that negative through. So I think what I'm going to do is just start looking for my like terms. So let's start off with the biggest exponent, so a 3y squared and a 7y squared. These are both positive, so I'm just going to add them together, so I get a 10y squared. And those are used up. I'll take my y's next, a minus 5y and a minus 9. They're both negative, so when I add them together, I get a larger negative, 14y. Keep the variable the same, cross those off. My last ones are a 6 and a negative 6. So when I add 6 plus negative 6 or 6 minus 6, I get 0. There is no constant term here. It totally cancels out. And so my solution ends up being the 10y squared minus the 14y, and I just have these two terms left for my solution. And those are a couple of ways on how you can add and subtract polynomials.